On the series finale of HBO's Divorce, Jackie and Robert break up. Frances and Henry also break up. And Diane ignores the knock-knock from Grandpa. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Divorce dance. Also, because it's the last episode.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Hi guys, I'm Katy. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us and finishing up the series with us.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I'm joined by my lovely co-host,
Tatiana and Mariesa. Hey guys.
Hey. Oh my goodness. Where do we even begin?
You know, I have to say, because I think the last time we were here,
Yes.
last episode,
Right.
Hello. I was afraid that things weren't going to be like wrapped up, and because it's so much.
It's so much
to conclude in
Yes.
like 25 minutes.
Yes, and
so
I'm happy that you brought that up because that actually leads into, so tonight we're going to be discussing, Thomas Haden Church actually was interviewed by Collider, and it turns out that while they were shooting the series, there were like little murmurs that this was going to be the last season, but there was no confirmation. So that's why everything's left so open-ended. But I will get into that interview in a bit. We're also going to talk about how Sarah Jessica Parker is launching a new wine line. What?
really?
You think it'd be like Cosmos because of Sex and the City, but
Right.
Nope, she's launching wine. And also, Tracy lets his plays are all over the place in Tehran and Chicago, and he's all over the place. That's why he hasn't been on the show. And then we're going to discuss all of the breakups tonight.
There's many.
There was many.
There's many.
And Diane and Dallas's new separate lives.
Good for them, though.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. Kind of. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm judgy.
What were your thoughts on tonight's episode?
I was weirdly satisfied.
Yeah, me too.
Not all of my questions were answered, but it was okay.
Yeah.
Because I still had closure.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
So
No,
it worked out.
absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, I know you and I had gone back and forth about the whole Jackie and Robert breakup.
Yes.
Especially because, like, I remember the first time we brought it up, you were like, they're not getting divorced. He couldn't leave a pregnant woman.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I think that they are going to break up. And then the tables had turned, and you're like, they're going to break up. And I was like, no, they're going to be together and miserable. And seeing her be the one to walk away from the situation,
Which, I mean, I didn't see Robert walking
Right.
away from the situation, so if anybody, it would have to be Jackie.
Yeah.
But it was so, I mean, they're newly married. They barely know each other.
Right.
Because they didn't take time and truly getting to know each other before they got married. And so I just think she's giving up too early.
Yeah.
Way too early. I mean, I know that, Frances is there and she's the ex-wife, so she's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, regardless if, they tried or like went to therapy or the baby came and they got closer, what have you. Frances is always going to be there.
It's always going to be there.
So that situation and relationship just kind of has to be figured out.
Yeah. Well, I think that, when it came down to it, she was so enamored by the idea of being married, and then she was just like, oh, maybe I'm not meant to be married. Maybe this is not what's for me. And I think that was why everything was so rushed,
Yeah.
Something else that they mentioned in the article is how you just notice throughout the episode how Robert is always staring so intensely at Frances, and Frances is always looking away. She's not ready,
Yeah.
And that Jackie picks up on that. So
She does.
She does.
Because Robert still has feelings for Frances.
Yes.
And when he went and talked to Nick, who is the worst person that
Ever.
you could get any
Ever.
kind of advice,
Yeah.
even financial,
Yeah.
the worst person. I don't even know why he went to him, but probably because he can't tell anybody.
Right.
So
That's
just
hilarious.
for confidentiality reasons. He was like, well, shoot, do you love her?
Yeah.
Do you still love Frances? And he's like, he couldn't even answer. ...
Totally. And I loved the way that scene was shot with, seeing Nick. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I was like, oh, Diane's there, like something weird with Diane. And then panning to Robert, I thought was so beautiful because so much of season 1 and 2 is that, funny, Nick and Robert relationship. And it was nice to see that just for a second again, too.
I almost forgot that they even had
they were like
friendly
friends.
Forgot.
It's so strange because you think of, and they had such a cool dynamic because, obviously Nick is like, he tries to be like an intellectual and Robert's kind of like a simpleton. So
Totally.
Yeah, it was really cool to see them back together again. But yes, also not helpful in Robert's case,
Not at all.
No, definitely not his go-to.
No. He was like, just get over it. And he was like, I came here for advice.
Yeah. Right. Well, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
Exactly. You should have just come here to like catch up on jail life or something.
Exactly. He didn't make any figurines, I noticed.
No figurines.
Sorry.
No figurines.
Not that special.
Not that special. But I will say, I loved, with this episode, I loved the fact that in both breakups, it was the female who walked away,
Very true. Yeah.
It was,
I didn't even notice. Yeah.
It was refreshing because I think that if it had been the other way around, it would have been this, like damsel in distress.
And it would have been, the poor me and I'm abandoned.
Exactly.
And kind of mentality.
Exactly. And I think that speaks to just how, so much of the production of this is female, female writers, female directors, I think that's the reason why that happens, which is good.
It's showing a different side.
Yeah.
That is true. And that's not always put out there.
Right.
So it's good.
It is good.
Yeah.
It is good. Yeah. So we'll see. I will say that I thought that the last scene between Jackie and Robert was kind of heartbreaking too. Because
yes.
Yeah.
Because it's, I shake my head because it's just like, it's not enough. It's just not enough time.
It wasn't enough time. And he said that too. He's like, don't you want to take take a couple yards and think about this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that she's been cooped up in the house, you know, and she's on bed rest and she can't go anywhere and all she does is sit there and think, right, in her own thoughts because, like, nobody talks to her except for Robert and all this kind of stuff. So, I understand how she can be overthinking the situation.
Right.
And so once the doctor's like, you're free, she's like, I am free. It took kind of on 2 meetings.
Yes.
And so, it's just too soon.
And we got a preview, too, when, Robert was sharing the fact that they were selling the house, you know? And he was like, do you want to be the one who helps us sell the house? And she was like,
hell no.
No.
But, I mean, I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
That's such a delicate situation. And it was so big in the first place, when she was like, oh, I have people interested because she tried to sell the house because she knows that that's one of the last things that they have together.
Right.
That's materialistic, besides their kids. So, it's a big thing.
It is a big thing. And it does, definitely speaks to the fact of, how much Robert actually cares for Frances. He was not the one who made the decision about the house. Right. And he ended up keeping the house in the long run.
Right.
So, when he does share this with Jackie, it's not necessarily, it's like he's saying it for her benefit, but it wasn't his decision.
Right.
He just went along with Frances as he does,
Because he's still loyal to Frances.
He's still loyal to Frances. But yeah, it was very sweet when their last scene when, he was saying that, she's like, well, you're not going to get rid of me because we still have this baby coming. And he's like, yeah, that's the best part. But
that sucks.
I know, it does suck. It was heartbreaking.
It was, because I put myself in his shoes. And now he has, now he's going to have multiple children and he has 2 baby mamas. And, and I bet you he thought the same thing with Frances. We'll always still be in each other's life because we have kids.
Right.
And now he's saying it to Jackie and they haven't even known each other for 20 years.
Right.
It's just a mess. Really.
It is a mess. And it's definitely, there's that pattern of, even though Frances and Robert were together as long as they were together, we always discussed how it seems like their marriage ended so abruptly, and how it was really inspired off because of Nick and Diane with the gunshot and, their craziness.
And they were so awful to each other.
They were so awful
Frances
to each
and
other.
Robert
Yeah.
were just so awful. And Robert did horrible, horrible things. And I think that just kind of escalated everything. It was just so much, because both parties were so hurt.
Yeah.
Every divorce, obviously, both parties are going to be hurt, right?
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well,
It's tough.
It is tough. Speaking of tough, then we also saw on the converse side, we saw Frances and Henry's breakup. It did seem
Lame.
It seemed weird. Yeah, it seemed like, the last we had really heard about Henry really was that text message ghosting.
Yeah. So I kind of assumed that they haven't talked since then.
And then was that them running into each other?
I think
When she was with her family?
I'm assuming
That seemed so convenient.
right?
Right.
Because he didn't. I think he ran into her because she didn't seem like, oh, hey, I was supposed to meet you here.
Right.
So I think it was kind of a running in thing. But he missed her. I mean, that was obvious. One thing I wrote down that I thought was ridiculous that he said is, he said, if I could change, you would be the one I would do it for.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, then change.
Then change.
If I could change, you would be the one I would do it for. Why would you tell me that? Why would you say that?
Yeah, it was.
So am I not like enough for you to change, or like if you could change, I would be the one? Well, I'm standing right here. So
She said that. She's
what's
like,
the
if it's
hang-up?
4.5 stars, we make each other so happy.
Yeah.
What is the hang up? And he really didn't have, beyond just, he had a messed up marriage, he really didn't have like a valid.
he said he didn't want to be, he didn't want to have ownership over somebody.
Yeah.
And I understand where he's coming from, but then I think that's a really messed up view of a relationship.
Right.
It shouldn't be ownership. It's a commitment to each other.
You're not
and that's
owning people. They're not your slaves. No.
And so that's what I think he was missing.
Right.
Is that it's hey, you're in this together. It's a commitment together. Married or not married, it's a relationship.
Right.
And so I don't know where he got that ownership from.
Yeah.
And it sucks that he thinks of it that way, because I know Frances doesn't.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Completely. Yeah, and I mean, again, it just seemed like a very rushed breakup.
Absolutely.
Only 4 months, and they were completely happy, and then they had that weird, tiff at the dinner party, and then he just ghosts her, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'm back, but it's on my terms. Like, it was so bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good on you, Frances.
Yeah. I don't think, and it was funny too, because she asked, how long is your longest relationship after you were divorced? And he was like 4 months, and she's like, that's me.
That's me.
And that's got to tell you something. I mean, 4 months is not very long.
It's not very long.
So, it's I could date somebody, just date them for 4 months.
Right. Right.
Before I make up my mind if I want to be with them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's too bad.
It is too bad. Well, it seems like that's what he wanted, though. He wanted just this casual thing, and Frances is just, she's not there,
No, not
she's
at all.
She's not there.
Which I'm glad she's not.
I'm glad she's not, too. It's not her,
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I think I would have been disappointed.
Yeah.
They got back together.
Totally.
Now that I've heard his speech and his reasonings, I would have been like, no.
I know. I thought he was such a cool guy, but there's just something about him. Yeah. There's something about him. But, well, let's talk about, okay, so let's address Diane first. So
Diane.
This episode was obviously called Knock Knock because of the whole, grandpa trying to, use Diane like an on-call service.
Mr. Gordon, yeah.
Mr. Gordon, yes. What were your feeling like about everything grandpa related?
I think she was looking at it as a way to get out of the reality that she's in now, and which I completely understand from that perspective. But I think she thought it over and thought, I could do this. I could totally do this. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm going to stoop him a couple times a month, maybe she thought. It's not going to be that bad. But I think what hit it home and made her rethink it, even though she still went through with it, is when she told her manager off, and her manager was like, your bigger opportunities you're not being hired by Google, I think.
Yeah, by Google,
like that. We all know that you got a meal ticket, pretty much.
Right.
And she was crying at the end of it because she knows, she's like, shoot, everybody knows that.
Everyone knows.
I think that was kind of the answer to her question, but after she insulted her manager, then that was her job.
Yep.
And so I feel like maybe she was backed in a corner, and that's why she went with Gordon.
Right.
But then when the time came, knock, knock.
Knock, knock.
She was like, can't do
Lock
it.
the door.
Can't do it.
Smile in my blanket.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we were discussing actually before we even started taping. I felt like the whole thing with her boss knowing about her relationship with, the grandfather was like very convoluted.
Yeah.
It just seemed like, really? Like,
petty
and how did you know? Like, I can't imagine that like Diane's like on Instagram or something like that, like doing Instagram stories of her and the grandfather.
Look at me and Gordon.
Yeah. No, or that they even follow each other if that's even a thing, like.
But I think, like I was telling you before, I think it's the security guard, because the security guard knows so much. Like, he was there when she talked to the grandpa, and he was there when the grandpa came back and propositioned her, and he was there when his granddaughter stole the stuff, and he sees what her manager does and all that. So I think he probably had a big part to play.
He's a little snitch then, and he totally is. He's definitely playing both sides then, because he definitely seemed like, you're better than this place, get out of here, like I'm still your buddy. So yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, I really couldn't have seen Diane go through with it either. I know that they joked around about it and everything like that, and I know that really is what she wants. It's just, she wants that, like, prestigious life, that, lavish and all the riches, but, and she doesn't want to have to work for it, 'cause she's never had to, but she just can't. She just can't. No.
I think she thought she could.
She thought she could.
But now it's like, this is where I wish another season would happen.
Yes.
Because I want to know, okay, so she didn't sleep with him. Is she just going to keep dodging him until he's like, hey?
I think that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
Just because of her character. Because that was the kind of humor, that her and Nick would have, too. With her trying to, like, how Nick was actually dodging her when she was trying to have sex with him.
Right.
It's like that similar storyline. So
Yeah.
So that probably would not end well. She probably would end up getting a worse job than she had before. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But let's talk about Dallas.
Yes. So I think that Dallas, I think she did want to quit her job in the beginning, and when the guy complained, I think she was like, okay, well, this is a sign.
Right.
Like she said when she was out with the girl night, this is a sign, I'm going to quit my job. Who cares?
Right.
And then, but when it came time and this guy was saying all these absurd things about her, and I was like, what? He obviously had a serious vendetta out for her. She just couldn't sit there and let her character be tainted. But in standing up for her character, I think she found that she does like what she's doing, but just needed a change of pace.
Yeah.
Because these are adults that she's seeing. Obviously, adults have real problems.
Right.
But I think she was just tired of treating these adults like children.
Yeah. I think also, like, she was just tired of dealing with first world problems,
Right.
And then when she was in that interview for what I assume is like a high school guidance counselor or something like that.
Yeah, I thought it was like foster youth or something like that.
Yeah. But they, she's like, the woman is like warning her, and she's like, that's exactly what I need,
And I think that's in reflection of her son too, because she still doesn't have this relationship with her son.
Yeah, Cole never came back.
No, and I know, of course, that's got to hit her super hard. And so I think that's also maybe why she's taking the job with teenagers, is because maybe she's thinking like, well, I couldn't help my son.
Right.
For whatever reason, he doesn't want to come back. Maybe I can help other teenagers who might be in the same position.
Right.
To better their relationship with their parents, or, what have you.
Yeah.
So.
No, I can see that. And I also think there, too, going back to that whole, I don't know if they call it a mediation scene, the court scene, the board scene. I think there was that nod to, again, female creatives, like, behind the scenes with the whole, she speaks her piece, and then, there's the lawyers like, don't worry, you got it. And, like, it's like girl power moment, right? And
totally.
Then the woman behind the panel's like, you got it.
Because the guy was saying just absurd
things.
And then after she stood up and said her piece, and then he was just like, slut.
Yeah. Come on, dude.
Okay. That just shows that you're just stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere. how did you feel about the ending of the show?
I really liked it.
Yeah.
I really liked it. They're both alone, but they're together.
Right.
And that's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
Like I said, not all my questions were answered.
No.
But I felt at peace.
Absolutely.
with everything.
Yeah, I'll go into this when we talk about the news article, but I mean, something big for them was just like really just about bringing the family back together. And so that last scene was just really nice and simple, between all of them just eating pizza. And
it was like old times.
Yeah.
Except then when the family outing was over, then they go their separate ways.
Yeah.
So it was satisfying.
It was satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what's not satisfying? Divorce. So let's get into our special segment, shall we?
Awesome. Okay, so each week we talk about a famous couple who has gotten divorced over time. And to end it, I thought a perfect couple would be Roy E. and Patricia Disney. We all know Disney, of course, so this is a huge, huge divorce. The pair filed for divorce in 2007 at 77 and 72 years old after 52 years of marriage. That is a long, personally, I don't think I would get divorced.
No.
For 52 years of marriage, that
Seems
is
exhausting.
A lot of history. Roy was the nephew of Walt Disney and was worth $1.3 billion at the time. He lost nearly half of his wealth in the split, and in 2008 he remarried. He married again to a woman named Leslie Demuse, and she was a writer and producer, but she sadly died a year later. And then his ex-wife, Patricia, followed, passing away in 2012. So a foundation worth $122 million bearing both of their names has been set up to support environmental and economic causes. So even though they split and he was remarried for, only about a year.
Right.
And then his ex passed away. So, I can only assume that their divorce was amicable.
Yeah.
But I mean, 52 years of marriage. I mean, either it was unbearable and she was hanging in there or
it was like an arrangement for a long time.
Yeah,
right.
Something, because I feel like
and then he
after
fell in love.
52 years, I don't think I would split.
No.
Even and being in my 70s, 77 and 72 years old.
That sounds exhausting.
That's what am I going to go date again?
Right.
No.
No.
Obviously he did, but.
Yeah, no, your 70s are for, relaxing and being retired.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Living the rest of your life together.
Let's go to court.
So really, it's crazy. And I always wonder, when people are married that long, it's like you really couldn't
stick it out.
Right?
Right.
It's crazy.
Or get divorced way sooner.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
it's
one
true.
Or the other,
What went wrong?
Yeah.
What went wrong that you stuck in?
We had cold feet 50 plus years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Geez.
52 years is a long time.
Yeah.
I hope that I married that long.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
Because that's awesome to be married that long. And it's great to be committed to somebody that long.
My parents just celebrated their 40th.
Oh, see?
Yesterday.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I can only hope to last that long.
Absolutely.
That would be amazing.
And Mom and Dad don't get divorced. Moving on. So let's go back to Divorce the Show. So we're going to go into our top 3 segment. Because this is the last show of the series. So we're going to go through our top 3 favorite moments from divorce from the series. So let's start with number 3.
Okay.
Number 3.
Ready.
Number 3 would be when Robert kicks Frances out of the house when he finds out that Frances is cheating on him. And they're still together, season 1.
That is a good one.
Yeah, and I thought it was a great one because it really just showed the dry humor of this show. The morose, because season 1 was just daggers, and it really was one of these beautiful morose moments. And Thomas Haden Church was just hilarious.
He was so straight-faced.
He was so straight-faced.
All of that.
Yeah.
She was like, "Are you serious?
Are you serious?" And she's freezing because it's Westchester in the middle of winter, So that was hilarious. Moment number 2, I would say, would be season 2, and it was in the art gallery when Robert and Frances share that kiss.
Going for my heart here.
Oh my goodness.
That was hard. That was heartbreaking.
Going for the guttural, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was heartbreaking to watch.
It really was. It really was, because it was one of, if not the most the biggest moment where you were like, should they have gotten divorced?
Yes, exactly.
Do they need to get back together?
Yeah, are they getting back together?
Are they getting back together?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
I felt like I felt it.
I felt it too. I felt it so
They kissed each other.
hard.
I was like, I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm there.
I know. But it's not the nature of the show. I can't imagine them actually rectifying.
Yeah.
But who knows? If they come back, maybe. Who knows?
Crossed.
Fingers crossed. And moment number 1, the gunshot.
Of course.
In the pilot, the gunshot when Diane shoots Nick at the party. I mean,
talk about drama.
Talk about drama. It also it was obviously the catalyst for Francis and Robert getting divorced because, as you said, they were so nasty to each other. And then they see Nick and Diane literally, she's shooting at him, and they were like, we never want to be that nasty. And that's what I really think sparked the divorce, but it was also hilarious catalyst.
Yes. And it was the way it was played out that was just like, what? Did this actually happen? And then it was like a running joke until he went to jail.
Until he went to jail. I wish they had brought it up today, actually.
Yeah, me too.
So funny.
It's something that you can't forget.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right, let's get into our news segment.
Yes.
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right. So Sarah Jessica Parker is launching a wine line, guys. I know everyone would have thought it would have been a Cosmopolitan line. It's not very Sex and the City of her.
Maybe she's, I know Sex and the City has made her billions of dollars with her shoe line and all that kind of stuff, but maybe she's just trying to step away and kind of have something that's apart from Sex and the City, something a little bit more timely.
Yeah, and maybe she's actually really just more of a wine drinker. I don't know,
Yeah, exactly.
But it is funny that that she's the one launching the wine line because obviously, I mean, that's what what rose Thomas Haden Church to fame. Really was, obviously he was working before, but was Sideways.
That's
so
right.
it's interesting that she's the one that's launching the wine line. But Fox News announces that she's announcing this wine line, and it's going to have an X on it, and they're coming up with a Sauvignon Blanc in the fall. And she wrote on Instagram, "I've popped the cork, and I'm now even more excited for its September worldwide launch."
Awesome.
Yes.
Where is she? Do you know? Does it say where she's importing the wine from?
Yes, it does. Marlborough region in New Zealand.
Interesting.
And she's also coming out with rosé next year.
We'll have to try it.
We'll have to try it. I know, I'm excited. It's going to retail for $18 a bottle.
Not bad.
Just in case you guys want to put your pre-orders in.
Hey, that's way better than a shoe line.
If you want a budget, exactly. It definitely save you money on her shoes.
Yeah.
And let's get into Thomas Haden Church was recently interviewed by Collider about divorce. And it really was fascinating. So Thomas Haden Church actually had not been on television really for 20 years prior to divorce. And the reason that Sarah Jessica Parker had him in mind was because they worked on a movie together. I think it was...
Which one is it?
It was Awful People, Something People...
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, look it up, please.
Yeah.
But they met in a movie together. They had great chemistry together years ago. And then when Sarah Jessica Parker sent Thomas Haden Church the script, he was only on the fence because he actually normally lives in Texas. He has a ranch in Texas.
He totally is a ranch guy.
Totally. And he doesn't like living in New York. He doesn't like living in Los Angeles. So that was where his reservations came in. But he loved the writing, and he loved the fact that, after working on shows like Wings and all these other shows he had worked on, he had never really worked with that many female directors before, and he loved just how open everyone was. Like, he could give notes about, the writing, and yeah, he just said that, it was like a really great experience for him.
Good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was the movie called Smart People?
Thank you, Smart People.
There you go.
I'm not very smart right now, but it's called Smart People. But yeah, and then Thomas Haden Church also went into, as I mentioned before, just the murmurs, how they shot this season as if the show was coming back, but they ended up leaving it a little loose-ended because of the murmurs that it potentially wasn't coming back.
I mean, there's definitely... It can come back.
Right.
Because there's still, like I said before, unanswered questions,
Yes.
that they could totally take and do that. Or there could also be a spin-off that I wouldn't mind watching either.
Yes.
So...
I think Diane could have her own spin-off.
Totally.
That'd be great.
Totally. Molly
HBO,
Shannon.
come on, Molly Shannon. I know that Molly Shannon she has a new show on Comedy Central, but
she could do both.
Molly, come on vacation. Let's get a little Diane, and we'll have a little Nick cameos and on the rest of the gang. That'd be super fun.
I wouldn't fight it.
No, I wouldn't fight it either. I don't feel like the grandpa would last that long, but
I don't think so.
No,
she can't do it.
She can't do it.
Or maybe they'll find just some kind of maybe she'll become like his pimp and find somebody that he can be with.
And then also Tracy Letts his plays are all over. So recently, August Osage County actually went to Tehran, so it's debuting there. And then Superior Donuts is getting picked up by a theater in Chicago.
Awesome! Wow, he's busy.
He's busy. Yeah. He's Superior Donuts is getting picked up by the Circle Theater in Chicago.
Very awesome.
Yeah, really cool.
Go him.
I know. Go him. He's so cool.
Yeah.
He does so much. Yeah.
Living life.
Love it. Absolutely. Well, guys,
that's it.
I know.
We can't make predictions because that's true. We have one person in the chat. They said Ryan Nilsson. He just said, "Love you too."
Oh, love you, Ryan. We'll miss you, buddy. Thank you so much for watching, guys. It's been a pleasure co-hosting with Tatiana.
You as well.
Yes, what a fabulous series. HBO, please bring it back. But for the time being, nice little, lovely, open-ended ending. So I'm Katy Foley. You can follow me, but do not stalk me at all platforms at Katy Did What Now, and I'm joined by
Tatiana Mariesa at all social media platforms. Yeah, we'll see you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.